get to it. We will take questions afterwards, so we'll save your questions till the end, please. A really quick, just run a show. We're going to have Mayor Keith Wilson speak, followed by Chair Jessica Peterson. Tony DeFalco from the Latino Network is here. DA Nathan Vasquez is here. Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell. Portland Police Chief Bob Day. We also have folks here from the Police Advisory Board, so we're grateful for them for showing up as well. Council President Alana Portogini and Council Vice President Tiffany Coyama-Lane are here. We also have a representative that the Vice President brought here to speak as well, so I'm excited to hear from them. We have representatives from the City of Portland's new Portlanders Policy Commission that are going to be here to speak as well, followed by Pastor Mark Knudsen and Pastor Hennessy, who are coming from a prayer breakfast, so they'll join us towards the end. But quite the lineup. We're going to go ahead and get started if you guys are all good to go, and we'll have Mayor Keith Wilson kick us off. So I'll pass it to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Cody. Good morning, and thank you for being here. We appreciate you assembling on such short notice. I stand alongside of dedicated partners, including Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson, Latino Network Director Tony DeFalco, Portland City Council President Ilana Portogini, and Vice President Tiffany Coyama-Lane, a representative from the City of Portland's new Portlanders Policy Commission, District Attorney Nathan Vasquez, Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell, Portland Police Chief Bob Day, a member from the Portland Police Bureau Advisory Group, and Pastor Knudsen and Pastors Hennessy, who will be arriving shortly. And many others, as we reaffirm the fundamental right to peaceful protest, a cornerstone of our democracy. Across local, county, state, and federal levels, our leadership is united in one goal: safeguarding our community while upholding freedom of expression. Portland's identity is defined by strength, resilience, and contributions of immigrants who have enriched our city, making it a more vibrant, innovative, and compassionate city for all. As a proud sanctuary city in a sanctuary state, we are committed to protecting the rights and dignity of those who live here, working together to strengthen our community. We remain in constant dialogue with Governor Tina Kotek and Attorney General Dan Rayfield, carefully monitoring national events and assessing their impact on Portland. Our city complies with all applicable federal and state laws. We will not obstruct federal law enforcement operations. At the same time, Portland Police Bureau exists to serve and protect our community. Our officers will not be used as agents of ICE. And when we see federal abuse, we will bring it to light, we will take action, and take the fight to federal courts where we will win. As leaders, we will always stand up for Portlanders, all Portlanders, always. As our community prepares for protests this weekend, we affirm the right to free speech while emphasizing that violence, destruction, and obstruction carry consequences. Misinformation carries consequences too. Take a moment before you repost on social media. Take a breath before you post if you think it's immigration action. We must bring the temperature down in our community. Spread resources and spread support and spread love for your neighbors, but don't spread fear. We are strongest when we act with calm and purpose. Together, we must also spread a message of unity. Those who seek to destroy property or hurt people do damage to their cause and must be held accountable by our community. If you see these actions, please report them. Justice must be pursued with a commitment to collective well-being. Reckless or harmful actions will be met with a measured but decisive response guided by accountability. In life-threatening situations or clear legal violations, including violent acts, property destruction, or obstructing the rights of others, law enforcement will intervene to protect our community. Imagine the power of a united Portland, where we champion free speech, mutual respect, and protection for our vulnerable. Let us lead by example. Your peaceful expressions of belief send a powerful message of resilience, inclusivity, and a commitment to safeguarding our community. Thank you for your dedication, your peaceful protest, and your participation in keeping Portlanders safe. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Portland and Multnomah County. I'm Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson, and I appreciate the chance to be here today, and I thank all of you for being here as well. We are here because we are standing together. We're standing together during Immigrant and Refugee Heritage Month to say that our sanctuary is important and we must protect it. Right now, communities in this country and across Multnomah County are under direct attack from a federal administration that is hostile to the values that we hold dear. Here, we celebrate and recognize the diverse communities that enrich our county. Here, we know that we all benefit from those who've migrated here, often fleeing dire and violent conditions, have the freedom and opportunity to thrive, pursue their dreams, and give back to their community. And that is something that I see every day, whether that is the employees of Multnomah County who are doing critical work for some of our most vulnerable neighbors. It is what I see in the organizational partners. It is what I see in the immigrants and refugees every single day who are helping this community grow and thrive. Multnomah County is a proud sanctuary county, and that means we must be willing to protect those who need our protection. That means we are committed to supporting our neighbors, families, and communities who are immigrants and refugees. It means we will continue to provide critical safety net services that treat every person with dignity, regardless of their immigration status. That means all are welcome, today, tomorrow, no matter what. We are living in challenging and increasingly troubling times, especially for the communities this administration is targeting. And let's be clear, it is not just our immigrant and refugee communities. We know that communities like our trans community is being targeted as well. So I want to be clear, what we are witnessing at the federal level is not normal. It's unprecedented and it requires us to act. For the first time since 1965, the United States military has been deployed domestically to a state against the wishes of that state's governor. Then it was a decision by President Lyndon Johnson to protect Black children trying to attend recently integrated schools against the wishes of racist Alabama Governor George Wallace. Today, it includes the actions of local ICE agents as they seek to intimidate and detain people who are showing up to our courthouse seeking asylum and legal pathways to refuge. We must not let this federal bullying scare us from exercising our right to free speech. This weekend, we expect Portland to continue its proud tradition of protest. This is a moment in history that requires us to stand up and use our voices. It is also an opportunity to stand for our values without giving this federal administration what it wants, which is an excuse to wreak more chaos in our country in many ways, including a federal budget that represents the largest cuts to our social safety net in history. So for those of you who are going to be out this Saturday or any other upcoming protests, let's commit to nonviolence resistance. Let's use our voices loudly in peaceful protest that protects the people that we love, the city that we love, the county that we love, and is a true expression of our solidarity with everyone currently under attack. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chair. My name is Tony DeFalco. I serve as Executive Director at Latino Network. We are a direct service and advocacy organization focusing on Latina communities around our region. And I'm here today to say a few things. First is about sanctuary. Sanctuary is very critical to our community. Sanctuary means a lot of things. For many in our community, sanctuary has been the reason why they came to this very country. That need for safety. And thanks to our communities, we have created resources and laws like the Sanctuary Promise Act that guarantee our ability to be free from fear when we are accessing critical services like the courthouse, like immigration-related services, and not to be picked up by federal agents when transacting those important pieces of our business. We don't feel safe right now. We are targeted like never before. And what we expect is for our agencies to continue to adhere to and go beyond our sanctuary laws to protect and create resources for our communities. The resource issue is really important, and I want to lift it up. At the same time that we have sanctuary laws that protect us, we also are seeing a shredding of our social safety net like never before. From the federal level to the local level, we are seeing cuts, painful cuts to childcare, to employment-related supports, and on and on. And all of that is a compounding factor in why we need more than ever our local jurisdictions to protect sanctuary, but more importantly, to create resources that allow our communities to go to the very people that are charged with helping navigate through this system that we have, especially in times like this. Because as those supports are being eroded, the places that people can go are fewer and fewer. And that combination, that compounding of impacts from these cuts is exacerbating safety in our community. So this weekend, while we do encourage our communities to exercise their First Amendment rights like never before, to protest an authoritarian government that is literally squeezing us and hurting us like never before, we're also wanting to make sure you all hear us that we need more resources in our community to be able to support our communities through this very challenging time. Thank you. And I'm not sure who's next. I think it's Council President.
The DA is next.
DA's next.
That's me.
Nathan.
All right.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Nathan Vasquez, and I am the District Attorney for Multnomah County. I want to start with just a little bit of context. You know, we here in this room, many of us, we went through 2020, and we saw how a narrative got out of control. And when we look at our amazing community here in Multnomah County and in the city of Portland, it's important to remember that we are actually quite a large county. We're an amazing place full of vibrant neighborhoods, of diverse communities. We have really an immense and wonderful city and county. We are not defined by some of the negative actions that occurred in 2020. In fact, Portland and Multnomah County is defined oftentimes by its amazingly loud and beautiful voice when it decides to protest peacefully. The current protests we're seeing, and the ones that I think people oftentimes are concerned about, are very confined to one building in a small area. And the ones that we have seen where it has gotten out of control are still limited to just a few people. And I want to provide that context because it's important that the many people that are going to come out this weekend and want to have their voices heard, they need to have that opportunity and not have that hijacked by those that would do vandalism, commit acts of violence, engage in arson. The people that are going to come out this weekend, they have a real message. They want to vent frustration and anger at times, and I get that. I support their right to peacefully protest. It's a terrific way for our community to come together, for our collective voice to be heard. But let's not kid ourselves. In the past, the voices of tens of thousands of peaceful protesters have been drowned out. Their message was hijacked by a relatively small number of individuals who wanted their messages of vandalism, destruction, and violence. They thought that's what the public should hear. I want our community's voice to be heard loud and clear, one that is important, but is in no way associated with those particularly bad actors. And I'm here to say, I certainly will not stand for that. As a district attorney, I'm here to tell those who would engage in chaos, vandalism, and violence, there's no free pass. That doesn't exist under this administration. I don't care if your political leanings are to the left, to the right, or the middle. If you commit a crime, you will be prosecuted. We've seen in the past few nights some of these groups engage, some of these select few individuals engage in some bad acts, engage in crimes such as arson. And I want to make sure that people understand they will be prosecuted for that. And crimes and being convicted of arson, it changes people's lives. It has a huge detrimental effect. But they will not be allowed to do this in our community. So please, if you feel so compelled, the calling to come out, to have your voice heard, to protest, great, have at it, do it. But do it with respect for each other and for our incredible community. Keep it lawful. If you see someone getting out of hand, tell them to knock it off. If you assault someone, if you burn things, if you decide to break things, you're going to deal with me. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm Multnomah County Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell. I recognize that we are living through an emotional and uncertain time. The events in Los Angeles and across our country have stirred deep feelings in all of our communities. The issues at the center of these demonstrations, they matter. They deserve the attention and they deserve dialogue. In Multnomah County, we are committed to creating safe communities built on trust and respect. That includes everyone who calls Multnomah County and Portland home. To be clear, per state law, Oregon law enforcement agencies, including the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, do not engage in immigration enforcement, nor do we work with Immigration and Customs Enforcement to carry out their immigration enforcement directives. As we have always communicated, we support the right to peacefully protest and speak freely. It's not only protected, it is truly the cornerstone of our democracy. You have the right to protest, and understand with that right comes accountability. If you choose to participate in a demonstration, we ask that you do so peacefully. Take care of one another, and respect our local businesses and respect the spaces that we all share. With that said, we must draw a clear line. Violence, the destruction of property, and other criminal acts will not be tolerated. Actions that harm others, threaten safety, or destroy property do not serve this cause. They undermine it. It is our responsibility to keep people safe and keep the peace. And we will take appropriate measured action if laws are broken. While we hope to not go down that path, we are fully prepared to respond and, if necessary, arrest and book individuals into jail who engage in criminal activity. We are working closely with our public safety partners to monitor developments and ensure that we have a coordinated approach. Ultimately, we all want the same thing: a safe, thriving, and united community. This is the community that we all call home. And we ask everyone to approach this moment with a shared commitment to peaceful expression. The future of our county and the future of our city depends on it. Thank you very much for your time today, and I will now turn it over to Portland Police Chief Bob Day.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. In my 21 months, not that I'm counting, that I've been in this role, I've probably stood before you to have this conversation more than anybody up here with me. And I have a lot of people who reach out to me and check in, particularly in the last few weeks, and ask how I'm doing and how's it going. And I have to tell you that it's an honor and a privilege to be in this role at this time. I am so proud of the way that Portland is showing up. I am so proud to stand up here with these representatives, and I'm so proud to represent the Portland Police Bureau. I have mentioned many times, in great anticipation of tomorrow, I expect another event where thousands and thousands from the metro region will come and represent the values and the beliefs and the ideals of Portland. And what gives me reason to speak with such hope? First of all, we have a track record. We've seen that performance over the last several events that we have had, so I'm encouraged by that. But also the deep relationships and the learning that I have been able to benefit from through our community partners. Represented and sharing stage with me here is some representatives from our advisory groups, Ms. Marta and Ms. Vanessa from our Latino Advisory Council, Ms. Leila from our Muslim Advisory Council, just a small representative of the number of advisory councils that I get to learn from that are community-led. They get to educate, share, empathize, guide the Police Bureau. I have relied upon them heavily, and they also challenge and instruct and ask questions. And just in the last few days have called upon them and their networks that extend well beyond the Police Bureau. So I know that we are speaking with and engaged and available to the community, which, as I have said many times from multiple podiums, that includes the police. We are the community. I'm asked probably the most common question right now is about why we are even at these events. Why do we need to be at these events? And I've spoken regularly about law and order and about violence and vandalism. But I want you to know that my philosophy, my core philosophy, is we're at these events for prevention and service. Prevention and service is the role of the Portland Police Bureau in our community. We are not at these events to arrest people. We are not at these events to try and agitate. We're not at these events to inflame. We are at these events for prevention and for service for all of Portlanders. And as you look specifically at South Waterfront right now and the challenges they're facing, and what I'm asking our members to do is to balance the needs of all the participants in that area. Affordable housing, local businesses, the residents and people who live down there, the risk of fire that it poses in some of the areas that are flammable, the private contractors and properties. It's a very complex, diverse urban environment that we cherish in our city. And so as I ask our men and women who go out every evening and keep me advised until the early morning hours about what's going on, we are out there to prevent, to be a prevention, to try and keep things quiet, to try and keep things moderate, as also as a service. And I'll just highlight one example of that last night. Last night, as we were engaging down in the South Waterfront, beginning at about 5:45 p.m., and we watched and observed a lot of activity up until about 9:45. And the only action we took at 9:45 was to make some announcements about how this behavior was not acceptable, things needed to change, and numerous Portlanders responded. It took the temperature down. 4 hours and simply a verbal outreach by the Police Bureau. Didn't require use of force, just required communication. But several people understood, got the message, took the temperature down, some left. That's a form of prevention. Our presence is a form of prevention. We have a responsibility to serve all of Portlanders, and that's what we are committed to continue to do. Thank you very much. I want to invite up Council President Alana Perna-Guinea.
Thank you all for being here today. You know, before I was our council president, I was an advocate, and I come from Portland's long tradition of protest and people-powered change. I organized students to protest the war in Iraq. I supported workers out on strike, and I marched for my queer community, for women, for workers, for peace, and in 2020, with my kid by my side, for our Black neighbors. That tradition has shaped this city for the better, time and time again. And I'm proud to live in a place where we show up for one another, especially when our neighbors are under threat. And make no mistake, right now, our neighbors are under threat. We are seeing the safety and stability of immigrant Portlanders, our newest neighbors and those who have been here for decades put at risk by federal actions, including the arrest of asylum seekers attending their legally required hearings in our courthouses. This is not a theoretical harm. This is a harm happening right here, right now, to families in our community, and it is not acceptable. We can't tolerate policies or actions from anyone, including our federal government, that not only jeopardize the safety and trust of our neighbors, but that violate the due process that we are all guaranteed. And that is why I support peaceful protest. But we must remember that this is a long game. This is a long game where we have to continue to stand together as a community, a whole community, throughout. To our immigrant communities, I see your fear, I share your anger, I stand with you, and I know that we must let your voices lead the actions that we take as a whole community to keep everyone safe. To all Portlanders, it is our responsibility to unite for the safety and well-being of our immigrant neighbors, and our collective voice is stronger when we all stand together and when we create spaces where everybody can come and be a part of our actions. Please stand together. That is how we will defend our communities. I believe in the strength and resilience of Portlanders. Portland is not a city that breaks down under threat. We are not a city that breaks down when the stakes are high. We can continue to stand up for our neighbors together. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate everyone being here today. As a Japanese American whose grandparents were forcibly detained and shipped off to prison camps during World War II, I have a particular lens in which I can clearly see and experience what the federal administration is doing. Clearly see the cruelty and injustice of the Trump administration, including military deployment, as the fear-mongering it is. I clearly see a constant reach for the optics of violence from protesters to justify illegal and immoral actions. I clearly see the attack on peaceful protesters exercising their First Amendment rights and on journalists reporting on violations. I clearly see the attempt to divert our attention from the real violence facing our communities: lack of housing, economic injustice, underfunded schools, reductions to life-saving services, such as Medicaid and more. I also clearly see you, community members, continuing to resist injustice in many powerful ways. I clearly see electeds standing up for what's right, including my colleague, Councilor Zimmerman, who brought forward an important budget note just a couple days ago. If you go back and watch any part of that long meeting, go watch that part. I urge us to continue to resist strategically without falling into Trump's authoritarian playbook. I urge us all to listen to the local immigrant rights coalitions who are strategizing and centering the immediate needs of our neighbors who are incredibly vulnerable right now. I especially want to hear the voice of my colleague, Councilor Angelita Morillo, as the only elected on council with lived experience as an immigrant. And in the words of Auntie Yuriko Chiyama, the movement is contagious, and the people in it are the ones who pass on the spirit. We are the ones who create the contagious spirit of justice. Keep doing the work to ensure that Oregon is for all. And now I'd like to introduce Kennedy Parrish with the ACLU of Oregon.
Hi everyone, my name is Kennedy Parrish and I am on the Communications and Storytelling team with the ACLU of Oregon. With a previously incarcerated father and a mixed Black family, I protested for justice and police accountability and for multiple days and nights during the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020 in downtown Portland. The power and rejuvenation from that movement continues to motivate my work in racial justice and faith towards creating a more just, equitable, and caring Oregon. I feel similar feelings of anger, fury, inspiration, and urge to protest currently. Seeing the violent actions by law enforcement towards people in Los Angeles, protesters who just want people to be treated fairly and humanely. It is clear that the Trump administration is fueling a terror campaign against our beloved immigrant and refugee neighbors. It is also clear that the Trump administration is intent on escalating his terror campaign by deploying the National Guard and other branches of military to suppress peaceful protest, dissent, and community self-defense with threats of government violence. The images and videos of community-centered solidarity, support, and action that I am seeing from LA are moving. They are important reminders that taking action and taking care of each other are essential parts of building a path of effective connectedness and resilience that will defend us against the authoritarian aggression coming from the current administration. In this movement work, we must always be mindful of the most impacted people around us, which means effectively and intentionally supporting the people who are most vulnerable at this time. We know that Trump is eager to pounce on any opportunity to weaponize any semblance of disorder and violence so he can manufacture an excuse to deploy military forces against the people of the US. And we know his endgame is to rapidly expand his capacity to target immigrants and refugees. With protests ramping up in Oregon, it is essential that we do not give Trump what he wants: images of violence and chaos. Trump wants to distract us, bait us, and divide us. We must not take this bait. We need to stay clear-eyed, together, and tight. We must be strategic, organized, peaceful, and unified. Our protests must be massive and nonviolent. We need to be careful not to let instigators infiltrate and take over our rallies and protest. I urge people to remember the guidance of civil rights leader Cesar Chavez, who stated, "Nonviolence is not an action. It is not for the timid or weak. Nonviolence is hard work. It is the willingness to sacrifice. It is the patience to win." Over this weekend and the next coming weeks, I hope people continue to defend our democracy and communities with courage, intentionality, and care. Thank you so much. I'll pass it on to Sanchez Batista.
Thank you, ACLU, for your incredible work, and thank you all for being here today. My name is Jorge Sanchez Bautista. I'm the Secretary of the New Portlanders Policy Commission, and we are an advisory body that works to integrate community, immigrant and refugee communities' voices into the City of Portland's policies and decision-making. Today, we speak not only as community leaders, but as a member of the broader community that continues to face fear, exclusion, and misinformation. Many of us on this commission have family members who are undocumented. That's not just a statistic, it's our reality. We know what it means to live with uncertainty, to navigate broken systems, and to constantly defend our right to simply exist. That's why we're here today, to stand in support of immigrant communities and to defend two things that are essential to our democracy: free speech and peaceful protest. We will continue to challenge systems that dehumanize. We will continue to advocate for policies that protect. And we will continue to speak up because silence is not an option when our communities are at risk. To every immigrant Portlander, you are seen, you are valued, and you are not alone. Thank you, and I'd like to hand it over to Pastor Knudsen. Hennessy? Sorry, Pastor Hennessy.
Good morning, everybody. My name, for the record, is Dr. J.W. Matt Hennessy. I'm the pastor of the historic Vancouver Avenue First Baptist Church here in Portland. Also, I'm going to stop because Dr. Knudsen was supposed to be before me. So he and I were both at an interfaith breakfast this morning. I'm going to stop and ask you to come. No. And then I will come up after you. Okay, thank you. My brother.
When you're being honored by your African-American clergy and imams, you don't just get honored and leave the breakfast. You stay for every part. So that's why I'm late. And I appreciate the mayor understanding that ahead of time. I do want to thank Dr. Hennessy, always, and Frank So, head of Economic Minister of Oregon, whose SOAR legal immigration system is in dire straits because of what's going on. He came out and parked my car for me. So we all work together in the city. That's what it's all about. We're in a critical time in this city, this nation, this world we live in. And for everybody here, I want you to remember from all of our great faith traditions that we work so closely, Native American spiritual leaders, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, Christians, other people of faith, and people of just goodwill to weave the beloved community, as Dr. King talked about, where everybody is welcomed and affirmed for who you were created to be. And that's all of us in Oregon. Everybody resides. So for our immigrant siblings right now, there is so much pain and suffering going on that we must all stand up. We cannot be silent. If you have any question about diversity, equity, inclusion, justice, peace, protesting together for the right reasons, we talk about being made in the image of God, and in Latin, that's imago Dei. How do you spell imago Dei? The last part, D-E-I. We are the human family. And in Portland and Oregon, we stand together. Every sector is standing together right now in this nation because we are under assault by our own government. I'm not going to get political. Mayor, you already settled this. But we have to stand and we have to march. We have to step out on the streets together. This weekend, we know the law enforcement will be walking alongside on bikes and in other ways as we all move together peacefully to say to this country, this cannot go on. Millions of our siblings, many in my own church, some of my staff could be deported tomorrow and their children would come home to no parents. That is wrong. People who are being cared for by an elder and some of our extended families, that caregiver may go to Walgreens and be abducted by ICE. And that person will lay in bed for days and nobody will know they're alone. We are together in this city, and this weekend as we march together, march peacefully. If you know King's 6 principles of nonviolent direct action, read them. We cannot respond to the violence in this nation with violence ourselves. Only love can conquer hate. Only peace can overcome fear. And so we have work to do. My time is up. I'm preaching. I'm going to stop now. But to the press, you know, I always say this to you. We are so thankful for the press and the journalists. The future of this nation, the press, you know, you are that fourth part of the country. And all of you reporters and camera people and producers, thank you. You are storytellers. And you'll take this story about how Portland's going to stand up in unity together this weekend and for the many days ahead until this ends. And as you are storytellers, we could be here in this hall and it'd just be us together. You take it and you run with it and you take it around the country and around the world and say, we are together and we're going to walk peacefully together. Young leaders will lead us. Our young people are not the future leaders, they're leaders right now. And so let us not step back, let us step forward because we don't want. As people of faith, it's all about love. As my wife Tamara is saying, love is active. If my neighbor is afraid or bleeding or hurting, I better take action. Thank you for asking us to come today. Thank you for what you do. Remember, imago Dei. We're all, and that's a beautiful image of who we are as a human family. Thank you.
I don't know why I would want to come up after you. Let me just say again, I am Dr. J.W. Matt Hennessy with Vancouver Avenue First Baptist Church, and I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank the council president, the Multnomah County chair, the DA, the police chief, all of our leaders for the opportunity to be here today. As Dr. Knutson mentioned, our morning was spent in solidarity with the number of black preachers, teachers, imams, but the story of the faith community is a story of us being in solidarity with one another. Sometimes that's not always known. The fact of the matter is we may have different beliefs and things of that nature, but we work together. As Dr. Knutson said, and I'm sure has been said before, in my own church, there are people who are of the immigrant community. I stand with them. I stand with my Jewish brothers and sisters, my Native American brothers and sisters. We stand with our Islamic brothers and sisters. We are brothers and sisters. And let me also say, we've got people who don't have a faith. They are still, if you come to the Interfaith Peace and Action Collaborative, you're going to find out that people who are agnostics or who are people who are atheists, our tent includes everybody. Mr. Mayor, I just want to say to you as the press and to you as our community, we believe that Portland has always been a good model to other cities. We believe that we can show others that we know how to do our business without the intrusion of others coming from the outside. We know that we can be successful this weekend because we believe that we can work together. there are going to be boots on the ground. Some of us from the faith community, we're going to be there too. And we're going to do everything that we can to march alongside, just like we've done many times in the past. But I want you to know today, I don't want any of you to feel like there is no reason to hope. We got news for you. Portland is able to do anything it wants to when we come together in solidarity to work together, to march together, to fight together, and to say we are not going to be somebody else. We're going to be Portland, and that's who we are. And we thank you for the opportunity, and know that we're doing more than just praying. We're doing more than just having people in our thoughts. We're putting boots on the ground, and we thank you today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, speakers. We will take some questions now from the media. Please raise your hand and let us know who you're asking the question to. And we may be able to pull some other folks in if it's a technical question or if we're looking for something specific. Blair, go ahead.
Chief Day, can you just talk like a little bit more details about like how many officers you'll have out this weekend and where they'll be located, et cetera?
I'm so surprised the first question was for the chief of police, all these distinguished guests. But in regards to our plans for the weekend, they're really consistent with where we have been. Council President and I just had a conversation recently about the track record that Portlanders are showing the Portland Police Bureau and what we are learning among that, right? Resources and resource allocation, I'm not specific about because those are tactical considerations, and I want to make sure that we are honoring the need for adequate response. But I will tell you that a couple of things. We are going to be engaged, whether it be today or tomorrow. We will be out and about. We will have teams. We are using our rapid response team. I had a conversation today with the state police superintendent. I had a phone call today with about 50 chiefs from around the state of Oregon, as there are about 50 some odd events planned around the state. So we're coordinating to have a unified message and voice, and always making Portland available to offer assistance if needed. Or we have a great MOU in place with our Multnomah County partners. Right before the coming down here, the sheriff and I talked about some mutual aid requests if needed. But right now, I will tell you that we seem to be managing well as a city and as a police bureau. And so we will be engaged and we will be visible, but that visibility, which I know means different things to different people. When I say visibility, that can range anything from being seen a block away on a bicycle to being seen maybe in a more formative way, blocking an intersection. The role of visibility is important to us in terms of having that presence to be seen. And we are trying to learn and show up in a way that best meets the moment for that time in the crowd. So there'll be plenty of us engaged and involved over the weekend. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Another question for you, Chief Day. If we were to see an increased presence of federal law enforcement, like we saw what happened down in LA, if we were to see something happen like that here, what role does PPB play in upholding public safety, especially at protests?
Yeah. So really, a couple of things. One, I've been clear since the first of the year. I am in regular communication with our federal partners. I was as early as yesterday. I value those relationships. I value those conversations. I think it's critical that we continue to keep that line of communication open. I cannot speak for them. I cannot anticipate the future or the intent of the White House or the Attorney General's office, but just know that we are in communication. If we were to see an increased amount of enforcement or increased amount of presence with federal agencies, the lines are pretty clear as to the role of the Portland Police Bureau. And we don't engage in immigration enforcement. We don't participate in trying to make a determination of somebody's status. We're certainly not interested in any kind of enforcement or any assistance of that enforcement by the federal law enforcement. But I think the mayor mentioned in his comments, if I remember correctly, we also cannot interfere with that. We cannot create a situation where local law enforcement is, in opposition to, I'm talking about, boots on the ground kind of thing, where we are in opposition to federal law enforcement. We need to play our role, and our role, as I mentioned earlier, is around prevention and service to all Portlanders, and we will do that the best we can. I understand that it is a gray area. It is a constantly moving line that we are trying to walk. But I think it's imperative that we outline it, and I have been crystal clear with both our federal partners, and the mayor and I are in regular communication. His expectations of me, his expectation of the police bureau. So if we see that happen, know that we will be in communication with them. We will not be partnering or supporting them in immigration efforts, and we will do our best to serve and prevent future harm to Portlanders.
Quick follow-up question. Has ICE been in contact with PPD about their presence in the city recently?
Oh, I spoke with them yesterday, and they do not share specific information with me in terms of their operations, which is their prerogative, but I am in regular communication with them. So I do not know what they have or have not been doing in the state, but just know that those lines of communication are open, as well as directly with the employees that are in the facility down there. We're in regular communication with them as well.
All right, any other questions? Looks like, okay, we got one over here.
For Chief Day again. Forgive me if this veers a little bit into the tactics conversation, but last night and multiple times this week, we've seen the Bureau show up and then leave. And things seem to calm down after those situations. I wonder if you can just speak to how you're gauging that approach right now.
Yeah, Troy, that's the challenge, right? I mentioned that visibility piece. We know that just the representation of law enforcement based upon history, based upon past performance, whether it be performance of PBB or in our nation's history, we know that that can be an escalation. But we also know that sometimes our presence can be a de-escalation. Portlanders are learning and understand, and we are doing the same with our community, about how to interact in these really complex spaces. And so it is really a back and forth. We take the temperature. We try not to escalate. We have such a heavy emphasis around de-escalation, the involvement of the Police Bureau since 2020, our dialogue liaison officers, our in-keys training, our partnership with London Metropolitan Police and others, our reliance upon outside reviews and reports have all shaped our response. And I will tell you right now, as I was getting updates until 2 in the morning, sleeping on the couch as to not disturb Mrs. Day last night, I just couldn't be more grateful for the thoughtfulness that's going into this approach. But I will be the first to say that it is not clear, and I would anticipate that there will be conflicts. I anticipate there to be mistakes. I anticipate us to be held accountable in that. But I think what you heard consistently across this room this morning is we're in it together. And if this devolves into a us versus them, police versus community kind of situation, my greatest fear is that we will then lose the narrative. I said earlier this week, nobody in Los Angeles is talking about immigration right now. They're talking about the Trump administration. They're talking about federal oversight or federal involvement. They're talking about the Guard. They're talking about riots. They're talking about LAPD. And as you've heard from people with lived experience, that the real fear that exists and the real challenge that we're trying to address is getting lost in that narrative. And I would certainly hope that that not be the case here, that we would be able to continue to elevate what the true issue is.
There was one hand back there now, so we'll pass to you and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Quick question for the mayor.
There you go.
Mayor, I'm curious how you balance your messaging today with all of these local leaders, some saying they will be participating in these demonstrations this weekend, compared to leaders of other large cities and states saying we will be a riot-free zone and coming out and basically trying to discourage some of these demonstrations. How do you balance that narrative?
I'm glad you brought that up. So what you see right here is a coalition that we're building. By asking the media to be a part of it, you're part of the coalition. In Oregon, our job is to take the temperature down, but to make sure that everybody's voice is included. We encourage the protesters tomorrow. We encourage the message that we're going to send to the nation that this is how you care for your community, by bringing everybody in. It's a pushback to the federal administration that's trying to divide, create fear, uncertainty, and confusion. That's what tomorrow is about. That's what we're doing here today, and that's what we're going to continue to do tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming. If there's any follow-ups you need to reach out to, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, speakers. That was great. Thank you so much.
you.